By the late 1920s, international football was outgrowing the amateur confines of the Summer Olympics. The success of the 1924 and 1928 games proved there was an audience for a global competition, but one that existed outside the Olympic umbrella. In 1928, FIFA President Jules Rimet proposed a solution: the first ever World Cup. Uruguay was chosen as the inaugural host, celebrating both their back-to-back Olympic golds and the centenary of the nation's constitution. FIFA sent invitations to every affiliated nation, giving them until February 1930 to accept. But when that deadline passed, not a single European country had entered the tournament. The timing was disastrous. The Great Depression was draining national budgets, and a 15-day journey across the Atlantic was a prohibitive expense for players who would have to leave their jobs for 2 months just to participate. Weeks before the first kickoff, Rimet's Global Championship was at risk of becoming a strictly South American exhibition. Saving the roster required intervention from outside the world of sport, beginning with the newly crowned monarch of Romania. King Carol II took a personal interest in the tournament. He negotiated directly with the players' employers to ensure they would still have jobs when they returned, and personally selected the squad members himself. Rimet used his own influence to pull in the French and Belgian teams, pressuring the federations to commit to the voyage, despite their deep reluctance and the absence of their star players. The European contingent eventually boarded the SS Conte Verde. For 2 weeks, the team shared the deck with referees and Rimet himself, performing basic calisthenics in the middle of the ocean just to maintain their fitness. The tournament's start wasn't the result of global consensus. It was a jury-rigged operation held together by backroom deals and personal favors. Look at this tournament bracket. When the teams finally arrived in Montevideo, the structure was purely reactive. Since only 13 nations were present, FIFA improvised a format that left one group with 4 teams and the others with only 3. The conditions were just as unpredictable. On the opening day, France's Lucien Lalague scored the first goal in World Cup history in the middle of a winter snowstorm. While the South American teams were the clear favorites, the United States brought a physically imposing squad. Labeled the shot putters by their opponents, the Americans used that size to overpower Belgium 3-0, securing the tournament's first clean sheet. The atmosphere fluctuated between extremes. One match drew a crowd of only 300 spectators, while another ended in controversy when a Brazilian referee accidentally blew the final whistle 6 minutes early, stopping a French breakaway in its tracks. These opening matches were defined more by local club stadiums and improvised officiating than by the standards of a world-class championship. However, the group stage successfully filtered the field. By the time the semifinals began, the outliers were gone, leaving only the 4 group winners: Argentina, Uruguay, Yugoslavia, and the United States. The intensity shifted immediately. The United States semifinal against Argentina turned into a brutal physical encounter, leaving American midfielder Rafael Tracy with a broken leg as Argentina surged to a 6-1 victory. Uruguay matched that dominance in their own semifinal, crushing Yugoslavia 6-1, to set up a championship match between the 2 bordering rivals. The bracket had effectively stripped away the amateur outliers, narrowing the field to a hyper-intense clash between neighbors. The 1930 final was more than a title match. It was a deeply personal rematch of the 1928 Olympic gold medal game between local giants Uruguay and Argentina. The tiny crowds of the group stages were replaced by a staggering 93,000 spectators packing the Estadio Centenario, a stadium built specifically for the event. Across the La Plata Basin, 10,000 Argentine fans crossed the water by boat. Many never even made it to the stadium before kickoff, but their presence was felt in the streets through the cry of Victoria o Muerte, victory or death. Security at the gates was extreme, with soldiers conducting weapon searches as fans entered. On the pitch, Argentina's Luis Monti played under the weight of death threats sent to him on the eve of the match. Even the equipment became a diplomatic crisis. The 2 teams could not agree on which nation's ball should be used, leading to a bitter pre-match standoff. FIFA finally dictated a compromise. Argentina's preferred ball would be used in the first half, and Uruguay's T model would be used for the second. The chaotic weeks of travel and improvisation had culminated in a game that felt less like a sporting exhibition and more like a national crisis. Argentina led at the half, but once the team switched balls, the momentum shifted. Uruguay scored 3 unanswered goals to win 4-2, becoming the first ever World Cup champions. The reaction was instantaneous and violent. While Uruguay declared a national holiday to celebrate the win, angry mobs in Buenos Aires responded by stoning the Uruguayan consulate. Jules Rimet's initial gamble had paid off. He had created a competition that could provoke national euphoria and international riots over a single physical prize. Despite the snow and the logistical friction, 1930 established the foundational blueprint for a tournament that could paralyze cities and redefine national identity.